What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So I'm out here in the garage today and I've got a little bit on the agenda to get done to the car. So pretty excited about this new piece I got in the mail today. It is a ABS panel that's made to mount the Holley dash in where the stock cluster goes. And a friend of mine, Eddie Edwards, sent it in to me. He's making these panels now, and he sent me one and told me to try it out and let him know how it fits. So we're going to do that today, and along with that, we're going to install part of this digital dash harness that I've had sitting around for a while now, and I've just been too lazy to do anything with it and get it put in the car. And this is actually like the second time I've opened this up and seen what's inside, so you guys are going to see all this stuff with me. So it looks like it's got this little adapter piece right here. So it looks like this is where the harness goes in, and then it has this connector right here that goes into the dash, and then it comes with a little jump drive as well. And then it has some instructions right here: digital dash input output adapter configuration. Got a Holley EFI sticker right there, and then a whole slew of wires. It looks like you have to build the harness yourself. Digital dash unterminated input output harness. Yeah, so it looks like you have the option to kind of build into the harness what you want. But the cool thing about this is that you can put switches and stuff on the digital dash if you want to. And I'm not going to get too much into these instructions, but there are ways to make the screen actually have your switches on it, and you just run them to a relay. You can power your fan, your fuel pumps, water pumps, whatever you want really. And this is more stuff that I'll have to read into and figure out what's going on. But as always, the instructions from Holley are really detailed. So, yep. Have to get all that stuff figured out. Really, the only thing that I need to wire in. So this is how I have the dash in here right now. And the way I did it before is I just kind of built some brackets behind the dash right here. It's kind of flimsy actually. I cut down into the dash right here so it'll sit in there. And then the reason why I kept the stock cluster in here is because of the fuel gauge. At the time I didn't have the input output harness, but now that I do, I can wire this dash into the pickup for the fuel gauge, and then I can just read my fuel level on the dash, the digital dash here, instead of having to use this old gauge. I'm going to get this stuff pulled out and get this mounted to the delete panel, get the delete panel put in here, and then try and figure out how to get this dash wired up. Got part of the dash pulled out right now, and here's a better view of the little brackets that I made to mount it to this front part of the dash. So it really wasn't that steady, but it didn't move around much when it sat in there. Didn't really have any issues out of it. But definitely not the sturdiest installation. So the next step is going to be, I'm going to pull this cluster out, and I'll take this off and put it on the ABS part and see how it mounts up in here. The old dash cluster pulled out, and before I mount the dash back in here on the new panel, there's something that you got to do on these cars whenever you're deleting the dash cluster. You have to jump a wire from this plug to this plug so that your alternator will still charge. So the two wires, so on this plug it will be this red and green wire right here. If you're looking at the plug like this, it's the bottom left wire, so it's this red and black wire. So you cut this wire, and you cut this wire, and you splice them together so that your alternator will still charge. And one thing I still have to figure out is I also have to figure out which wire on here is for the sending unit for the fuel tank, so I can wire my input output harness for the dash into it. So I'm gonna do a little bit of research, splice these wires together, and then figure out which wire is for the fuel level sending unit. Okay guys, so I made it a little bit farther. So I got the two wires that I showed you earlier soldered and heat shrink together right here. And I used one of these really nice heat shrink solder combos. If you guys have not ever seen these before, then you don't know what you're missing. You can get these things on Amazon for like 20 bucks. It basically is a heat shrink and solder together, so you're not having to heat solder wires together and then put the heat shrink over them. Really, really nice. Highly recommend these things. So anyways, that's together, and then I did a little bit of research, and the yellow and white wire on this harness here is for the fuel sending unit. So I'm looking at my pin diagram right here on the Holley, instructions right here, and down here it says fuel sender unit, and it says yes. So I go up, and it's the input output 10. So then I move up here to this diagram, and my input output 10 is pin 13. So it's pretty simple. It even tells you view from rear of plug. So I'm just going to go to the number 13 pin on the rear of the plug, and I've got all these wires right here. And since that wire is yellow, I'm going to use this yellow wire, which already has the pin and everything on the end of it. So I'm going to get this pulled out of this mess of wires right here. I'm going to get it pinned in the plug, which is right here. Get it pinned in this plug, and then of course it will connect into this, and this will connect into the Holley right here. And I'll have to do the setup in the digital dash itself to actually read the correct amount of ohms, but we'll get to that when we get there. So I'm going to get started on that, and then I'll check back in once I get a little bit farther. Alright guys, so I'm a little bit farther into this thing, and I went to mock this panel up in here, and it fit pretty nice. The only thing I had to modify on here was I had to cut these slots that you see down here in the bottom, and that was just so that it would clear these portions right here, which I'm pretty sure this is like the first prototype. Just whip me up one really quick. I believe he's actually bought a spare dash that he's actually fitting these things in, so he's got them fitting pretty good now. But other than that, it fits really well. I got my Holley wire wired into the plug right here. We got this one lonely wire going in here, you know, with all these extra inputs and outputs for future ideas and stuff. I may actually connect my transmission temp gauge into this at some point in time, but not going to do it right now. So I got that heat shrink and soldered together, and then you can see right here where I got the plug mounted back here for the Holley for the dash. So this basically right here will plug in right there, and it's ready to go. This wire, of course, is not much. I may even tie it up. It should just sit back there, no problem. So that's all wired in, ready to go. And then I'm gonna I'm gonna put the dash on here and get it put in. Okay, so the dash is in here now. I'm really happy with the way it looks. As you guys can see where I hacked it up down here a little bit, you can kind of see, and that's all my doing. So I probably should have gotten a little bit closer when I cut these out. But from back here, you can't even really see them. This is like my point of view right here. So the dash is perfect. I did lower the dash like a 1/2 inch on here, which was as easy as just drilling a couple of holes a 1/2 inch lower than the original holes. And I like the way it sits the dash in the middle right here, because before the top of the dash was sitting up here a little bit. And I like this look better, so a 1/2 inch fixed that. But other than that, man, this piece is really nice. You guys go check out Eddie Edwards on Facebook. He's making these plates now. If you want to get one of these, it's a lot cheaper than going with the metal ones that are sold out there that I think are like $200. Timmy. There's Connor. He's in here helping me. Looks a lot better than how I had the dash sitting right here before with the gauges behind it. This is a much cleaner look, so really happy with how it turned out. So that's all I got today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you got any questions, post them down in the comments. As always, comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.